All right, this is a video tutorial to show you how to go through the materials for the Exploring the Titanic unit. So this is kind of like a hyperdoc where everything is all within one document. So in going through the unit, the checklist is going to tell you everything that you need to do. So what you're going to do is look at the items over here, and you're just going to follow them down. Once you're done with an item, you're going to check it off. You're going to go to once this column is done, go to the next column, and so on. So everything's through here and through the Google site. Okay, so the very first item tells us to go to the Google site. So we're going to click on the link here. It'll take us to the site. Okay, we can go back and done. Check that box off. All right, next one says click on the button for Exploring the Titanic vocabulary. Okay, come back here. We click on the button. All right, that's done. And then it says complete the Exploring the Titanic vocabulary Google form. So we would go back here. All right, here's the Google form. And I'll go through and do just a little bit of it just to show you. So first name, I'll just put in first and last. All right, choose class period. Okay, so the very first part of the vocabulary, it says read the passage and pay attention to each bold-faced word and clues to its meaning, then choose the word that goes along with each definition. So this is a screenshot of an old worksheet that goes along with the Titanic vocabulary. So what you would do is you would read this letter. I'm going to say this guy's name is Fong. So it says, Dear Fong, how are you? I like being a camp counselor. It was really sad leaving home, especially when I watched our little brother waving so feverishly at the car that I thought his arm would fall off. Just before we got here, there was a sign that said rough road ahead. I thought, uh-oh, I hope that isn't a prophecy. Camp is fun, though. After 19 years in the city, being in the woods is a novelty. And since we're on the coast, the weather is pretty moderate, so we didn't get that heat wave you guys had. The first morning, I had to jump off the dock and swim to a boat. I thought the freezing cold water was going to be ghastly, but it felt good. The accommodations are very basic. However, I get so worn out every day that whatever is for dinner tastes great, and even on our skinny bunks, I sleep like a rock. Do you remember Kira from dance class? She's in the adjoining bunk, so we talk every night. If her mom gets into grad school, her family might move to Sacramento, but if not, they'll be around indefinitely. Well, it's almost dinner time, so I'd better go right soon, Ben. So, what you're going to do then is you're going to use these context clues. If you really do feel like you need to look up any of these words, you are also welcome to. Okay, so I would say, okay, number one, a prediction for the future. And I would look at these bold words up here and try to figure out what word I think it might be. Okay, just for the assignment, just to get to the next one, I'm just going to choose the very first word each time because I want to get to the next part of the Google form. Okay, the next part of the Google form is a little bit different. So it says choose the sentence that has been written correctly. Use the definitions from the first section to help you. So what I would do is I would look at each one. All right, number one, it says, my report is not due for 1 month, so I am working on it feverishly. And that's the first one. And the second one says, my report is due tomorrow, so I'm working on it feverishly. So what I would do is I would remember the definition of feverishly from the first part, and I would look and I would see, okay, based on the definition of feverishly, this one makes sense or this one makes sense, and I would choose the one that makes the most sense with the definition. Okay, when I'm all done with those, then I would click submit. Once I click submit, I would go back to my checklist and I would check off that I'm done with the vocab. All right, I shouldn't have closed out of the site because I need to go back here. All right, next part, it's an anticipatory set and it says click on the link for Titanic facts. Okay, so I'm back on my website and I'm going to click on the link for Titanic facts. And what this is, it just contains some different facts about the Titanic, the size, the number of people on it. So you're going to read through all of these different facts here. Okay, once you're done with that, you're going to click there. All right, so, and that actually is the second part too. All right, next we have a link that says, or a part that says, click on the link for Titanic by the numbers and watch the video on the site. Okay, that's actually right here. So I'm going to click on Titanic by the numbers. And once this loads, this will play a video right here. It takes you through and it just goes over the size of the Titanic. Okay. So this is a video that will load. We're not going to watch it right now. So I can check this off. All right, next part, it says, feel free to watch the YouTube video for Minecraft, the story of the Titanic. So this is a Minecraft video that someone created where the person basically shows kind of puts together the Titanic on Minecraft. I'll fast forward just a bit. It also takes you through the timeline. Okay, so that's the next video that you can watch. So I'll just go ahead and check that there. Okay, then it says, feel free to watch the YouTube video for Titanic's Graveyard. It's a National Geographic Live video. That's actually right here. And what this one does, it's another YouTube video, but it goes through and it kind of shows you that certain items don't disintegrate, how things are left over from the Titanic.
We can't.
Okay, so that's another video that you can watch. So we'll check that one out. All right, so the next part, it says, click on the button for Titanic passengers and boarding passes. Okay, I would actually have to go back to my home, or I could just click up here on the link. I'm just going to go ahead and click on the link up here. So these are just some statistics on the number of passengers, the number of people in first class, men, women, and children who survived or didn't survive, second class, third class. If you want to click on this link, it will take you to a website that has information on all the passengers. There's some information on ticket cost. And then the slideshow, what you can do with this is, and I'm gonna pause it for a second. I actually don't want it to play through. Each of these are sample boarding passes, and the person on here was a real live person. So you can kind of look and see the person's name, obviously, the age, where the person was traveling, where the person was from originally, who they were traveling with, if they were a first, second, or third class passenger. Sometimes it'll have a cabin number listed, little fact about them, maybe why they're traveling, if the person was married, or maybe they had a job or something like that. But then what you could do for each one is you can click on the person's name, and it'll take you to a site that has information on the passenger. So this is Mrs. Carrie Constance Chaffee. If you wanted to, you can read a little bit about her, but the really important part is this part down here, which is the Titanic passenger summary. And this is what you can look at and try to figure out if the person survived or not. So you can see that she actually disembarked the Carpathia, so she did survive the sinking of the Titanic. All right, let's see if I can go to maybe another passenger. So this is a third class passenger. So let's see about this person. So this is Mrs. Jenny Louise Hansen. And I can go down here and I can see that she actually also survived the sinking, because you can see that it says rescued, boat 11, and she disembarked the Carpathia. So like I said, this, you can just go through different ones of these, has all kinds of different passengers. If you're interested, you can click on and kind of find out a little bit more about the person. Okay, so we'll check that off. So this kind of goes through, okay, feel free to view the stats on the number of passengers. We did that. On the Google slideshow, check out sample passenger boarding passes. We did that. All right. And then the next part says click on the link for Exploring the Titanic by Robert D. Ballard. So if I go back home, I can go down here and I can click on the link for Exploring the Titanic. So I'm going to go back to my checklist and check that off. All right, so the first part, it says go to the Padlet link and share your thoughts on what can we learn from disasters. All right, so the very first thing it says is what can we learn from disasters? And it says go to Padlet to post your answer to the question above. So I'll click on the link here. And Padlet's a website where it kind of has like a wall where you can post answers to things, discussion questions. Okay, so what's going to happen is once you get to Padlet, so it says, what can we learn from disasters such as the sinking of the Titanic and other disasters such as tornadoes, floods, hurricanes, earthquakes, plane crashes, etc. So when I have my answer, what I would do, it says double click anywhere. So I could click here. I could maybe call this disasters, and I would write my answer. We can learn about some disasters, and I could add a little bit more to that. But what I would want to do is make sure that I would answer in a complete sentence. Okay, when I click off, you can see that it's on my wall. I believe that I can move this. I haven't done it for a long time. Okay, so I can move this wherever I want on my page. All right, so that part is done. All right, the next part, it says read and or listen to the audio for Exploring the Titanic by Robert D. Ballard. So when you're on this website, just like with the Eugenie Clark, you can click, and it probably won't play because I'm already using the audio, but you can click play. Underwater Explorer. Robert D. Ballard, a pioneer of deep sea exploration. Okay, so what it's going to do is it's going to read each section for you. So you're going to keep going through. And again, if you want to read it on your own, you can do that. If you want to read along with the audio, you can do that. So it'll have audio for each section. All right, next it says, feel free to watch the YouTube video for new CGI of how Titanic sank. Okay, that is actually right here. And this video is really interesting.
15 years now. Let's make it 23 degrees.
Oh, absolutely. They go through and they create a CGI of how they believe the Titanic, like how the events went through, how it actually sunk. Okay, so I would click there. All right. So the rest of this is all parts of the Titanic. It's just parts of the nonfiction narrative. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my home. And my next part on here, it says click on the link for Exploring the Titanic review and test, review, and test. So back here, I'm going to click on this button right here. And here's a test review. So it just kind of goes through and it says, hey, know the meanings of the vocabulary words. If you wanted to type this somewhere, you can. If you just want to go through and just review this off the top of your head, just to yourself, you can review here. Review the timeline. I'll show you that in just a second. I actually have a little time. And the timeline is just kind of the events of what happened. So it goes through and it just asks you 12 questions. Okay. Once you feel like you're ready for it, what you're going to do is go here to the Exploring the Titanic test. The password is capital L, lowercase e, the number 8, lowercase f, lowercase h, lowercase r. So you're going to put in the password and you are going to take the test here. Once you've done that, you're going to go through and you can check these off and you are completely done with Exploring the Titanic. So the last thing that you would want to do is go on to Google Classroom. You make you're sure that all of these are done. They've all been checked and you are going to submit your checklist. So the last thing I want to show you, this is on the actual Exploring the Titanic. if you go, and it's kind of a ways down, but if you go all the way down, once you've read through the piece, here's a little infographic of a timeline that someone put together. So this is a little timeline that you can go through and you can review. All right, if you have any questions, please make sure you ask.